Hi friends, welcome back to Midnight Horror Picture Show. Well, we made it to another spooky season, so today's episode is something special. In addition to talking about filmmaking, Luke and I also have a long chat about his hometown of Salem, Massachusetts, which if you don't know is one of my favorite cities. We're going to talk shop about where to stay, where to go, and what to avoid if you plan on visiting the Witch City this spooky season. But before we get to that, Luke St. Germaine was born in Worcester, Mass., graduated from Boston University, then fell into a door-to-door sales cult and traveled around the country. From a young age, he had been interested in weird tales and the supernatural, writing short stories and then screenplays, including one feature screenplay that was optioned. It was only when he moved to Salem, Mass. About 10 years ago that he started to fully make his passion a reality. In 2019, Luke made his first short film for fun, leading him to making a series of short films under his The Thornfall Society banner. Luke quickly started meeting fellow indie filmmakers at film festivals and helping on their projects and falling in love with the indie horror scene. Please welcome our guest, Luke St. Germaine. All right, Luke St. Germaine, welcome to Midnight Horror Picture Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. I'm glad to have you here. Luke, I first met you in 2021? Was that it? It was at Happenstance. Yes, yep. Happenstance Film Festival, and it was, I think that was the first year. It was part of the Monster Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you write and produce Witch on Bridge Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Witch on Bridge Street was your film that was there. And then the following year, back at that same festival, I got to see, it was Devil on Derby Street.
Devil on Derby Street. Yeah. We had a little street trilogy going.
There you go. Absolutely. And that is, that's all part of your Salem cinematic universe, which we'll get into in a bit here. Let's start off. What got you into filmmaking?
Man, it was a weird story, but I did not have a filmmaking background. I got into this fairly recently and have just kind of fallen in love with it. But back in the day, I was an English major. I liked writing weird stories. I liked writing screenplays. I was trying to get things made. I had a little bit of luck. Almost, I had my first feature optioned, but it wasn't made. I had another one that was close and then nothing. And then, I was sitting around in a coffee shop, in Salem, just hanging out, just hanging with the locals, and the barista was an actress. And we're like, hey, you know what? We should make a movie. We got a location. You own this coffee shop. You're an actress. We can come up with a story. And so we're like, let's just do it. So didn't know my ass from my elbows at that point at all. I mean, I love stories. I loved horror. I had this cool idea for, a person trying to go to a party. She gives a password. I think she's in, but then if you realize, she gave the wrong password and everybody turns on her. I was like, oh, this will be so cool. Like a underground society type of thing, which set in the backyard of a coffee shop. So so we were just running around. We had my buddy with the camera, found a sound guy, and didn't really know too much at all. And that was the very first one, Order of the Hanged. But it was so much fun. I mean, it was crazy. We're running through Halloween in Salem. This one's up on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. We're just going through the Halloween crowds, totally guerrilla style, and it was so fun that we're like, we got to do another one. Like, let's do another one. Let's see if we can make it a little better. See if we can learn, from the last one. And, again, I still didn't know what I didn't know. So the second one is like all sorts of crap on that one. And I was like, this is awesome. Let's make another one. Let's keep going. And then, one thing led to another. You start learning, you start meeting people, you start getting into it. And I'm like, let's see where this goes. This is fun. This is a cool scene. This is, such a unique, fun little niche to be in. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love that because that's such a common theme for people working in this space, right? Is I did it as something fun. I did it because it seemed like a fun thing to do. And then I was like, oh, I want to do this again. And I want to do this again. And it's the the resilience of learning as you go, and like, all right, so we made this thing, but how can we make it better next time? How can we do this? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to crew up with? And so I love that, man. Shooting in Salem is its own thing. I mean, we can talk about, there've been some great movies shot in Salem. You can say what your favorite movie shot in Salem is, and then I will ask, why is it Hubie Halloween? But
not Hubie Halloween.
All right, what's your favorite movie that was shot in Salem?
Let's see. I would say Lords of Salem is my favorite Rob Zombie movie, so I'm gonna go with that one.
It's great. I mean, that whole film and its 1 point perspective, like very Kubrick style shooting on everything. It's a beautiful film.
And unlike Hubie Halloween, they actually shot most of it in Salem, so you can see the streets and the neighborhood a little bit, and the local pizza place, and it feels more authentic.
That is fair. That is a fair take on Hubie Halloween, because didn't they shoot like a lot of the exteriors in like Marblehead and stuff?
Yeah. I drove by the house. They painted a house black for it, and then back afterward, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, they did some Salem stuff. It wasn't as bad as the Hocus Pocus sequel, because that wasn't in Salem at all, which is ridiculous. But
which is so unfortunate, because they had such a good opportunity there to make it, make Salem the backdrop the way it was in the original, right? And that's, the first time I've been to Salem. I went to Salem every year for 5 years. I didn't make it out last year. That was the first year in 5 years, or 6 years at that point, that I hadn't made it out. The first time I went to Salem, I was like, oh, the Hocus Pocus stuff. And like, Salem Pioneer Village is very cool. Yeah. If you actually go inside the Ropes Mansion, you find out very quick that is not what Allison's house looks like inside. But like, Old Town Hall is iconic. It feels weird and you should, if you're going to go check it out, probably just drive by Max's house, because it is a residential street and there is like no street parking, which, as someone from the Midwest, I'm not accustomed to always. So,
well, it's all slight out here.
Yeah. It's very cool. And Salem, not only for like its rich history, but just that whole New England shore, aesthetic of the background. Like that's such a cool place to shoot, that I'm surprised they didn't take the opportunity to do it again.
Me too. I mean, I think that was part of the appeal of it. I have talked to so many, I mean, obviously Hocus Pocus stuff is everywhere, but like I've actually met people, like when I moved out here, that was like when I was a little girl, Hocus Pocus was my favorite movie, and I wanted to move to Salem, and now I did. So like, it's such a huge part of it.
The way Salem has embraced the culture around it, right, is so interesting to me, because Salem calls itself the Witch City, right? Like, which is ironic coming from a place of like 1692 and the trials and all of that and everything that meant, but now just fully embraces, like, I mean, every public service, from cops to firemen to like whatever, have little witches on broomsticks on their trucks and
Absolutely.
On their badges, and it's fun how much the city embraces what it is, right? So yeah, no, I am very surprised that Hocus Pocus 2 would not take the opportunity to do that.
Fortunately, I'm picking up their slack,
Right, exactly, and that's what we're here to talk about. So let's start off with what you're doing right now, which is you launched a Seed and Spark campaign to fund a sequel, well, the second sequel in your Face Crusher series.
Yes.
Can you talk to us?
Yes.
I love it so much. Was the first one made for that Two Dogs Brewery competition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it started. There's a brewery, Two Roads Brewery. It's in Connecticut.
Two Roads, sorry.
Yeah, they do a Halloween film fest every year, where they'll basically show anything you submit as long as it fits certain criteria. Like, you have to use certain props that they'll send you, certain lines of dialogue. So it's like, oh, this would be super fun. Let's do this. Let's kind of come up with something. We'll just, do something pretty quick. So the first one we basically shot in a day in my sister's backyard. I was still very much learning the ropes of really planning out like a really good, solid, production. So, we were kind of winging it a little bit. The cinematographer that shot it, I met that day. Like, we hadn't gotten together ahead of time. We're just like, hey, what's up? Cool. Bring in your camera. Let's do this thing. So, it was kind of winging it, but it was fun. And that was the whole thing. It was just how fun it was, we're like, let's just have fun with this. And I think there's something to be said for like the more fun people are having kind of shows through when you're watching it. And I think that's kind of part of it. You can't really take it too serious. It's not even really trying to. So, it becomes, kind of funny, but also kind of weird. And we went down the Two Roads Brewery. They showed it there. And then we did it again next year. That's for FC2. We did the same thing. We showed it down there. But then I came up with another version where we kind of took out some of the Two Roads stuff to kind of make it kind of stand on its own. And then this third one we're doing now is just going to be just its own thing, drawing on everything I've learned over, the shorts I've made to like kind of raise the bar on this one.
I love it. No, because the first two are very much, and I will be, for those listening or watching, I will be putting links to all of Luke's work in the show notes.
Yeah, we shot it in a day. Be kind.
But that's the thing. Like the face where I see your, Devil on Derby Street, Witch on Bridge Street as more like serious, if you want to look at it that way, the Face Crusher films are just fun. Like you can tell that everyone on that set just watching them was having a good time.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said, like schlocky monster movie is a genre. And like that is exactly what the first two are, and they're just fun to watch, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is Face Crusher 3 gonna have the same like vibe, or are we switching it up?
Definitely gonna have the same vibe. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be little funny, little disturbing, little weird, trying to kind of keep the same tone, but plan it out better, do some stunts, raise the special effects, add more to it, like kind of hopefully build on the good stuff.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
It's gonna be something. It's not good. I'm not saying it's gonna be good, but it's definitely not gonna be boring. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. All right. So you're the first person we're interviewing from like the New England area, right?
Woo-hoo.
So let me know, or let our listeners know, what are some of your favorite festivals that you've been in or attended in the New England area? Well, just in general, but then also in the New England area.
Yeah, definitely. So the probably, some of the top couple, I mean, the Happenstance for sure. George runs that, and he's just such a, awesome guy and champion of indie horror, and wants to see people do well and like brings people together. He's the one introduced us. So like that's always a good time. Strange Maynard Film Festival is great. Erica runs that, and that's, same thing. She's just awesome, supportive. She's actually my first AD in Face Crusher 3. So it's a great scene for people to meet there. The Salem Horror Fest, obviously, got to shout those guys out because, that's obviously big name out here. That's an awesome one. They did a bunch of cool stuff around. It was actually just a couple of weeks ago. It went down out here. So that's a good one. And then the Boston International Film Fest was awesome, which is interesting because unlike those other three, that's not a horror fest, and it's actually rare for a horror movie to make it in there. And the last two actually did. So Patrick runs that, and he's a great guy. He's come up to Salem to some of our screening parties, and that's much more of a scene. I mean, that's like red carpet and really cool experience. This year they showed it on the Omni Theater, so we get to see The Guest on Topsfield Road on IMAX, basically, which was awesome. That's one of those things where I'm like, man, this is
yeah,
high five, man. This is a cool experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a great opportunity to have your work shown in large format like that. That's crazy, man. And it's got to feel good as a filmmaker just sitting there and be like, all right, yeah, no, this is I've seen it on pull down screens in a garage. I've seen it, wherever. Seeing it on IMAX is like, okay, I've made it this far now, right?
Yeah,
that's got to be a warning.
Exactly. I'm like, you have these little moments. You're like, hey, like we're doing something. Hey, check it out.
Right, right. So, okay, so Salem Horror Fest was a couple weeks ago. Did you get a chance to go to any of the screenings?
I didn't end up getting the pass, but I ended up here's the thing. What's cool about the Salem Horror Fest is they do a lot of events around town that, they do a great job of getting people in from out of town, partially because of the Salem appeal and that they have a really, strong, following. So they have a lot of events around town. So I was kind of able to crash some of those, so to speak, and hang out with a lot of the filmmakers. And I was part of the ground zero day for the mass hysteria. So that's basically the block I was in. But yeah, I didn't get to catch too many of the other screenings. Unfortunately, I know that they were great. They have a really, high bar, great films, great speakers. It was honestly just cool being part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think the only reason I ask is one of the other guests I've had on the show, their film won Best Feature at Salem Horror Fest this year.
I get to see it.
Yeah, it's called The Rebrand, and I believe it was part of the group of showings that was at Die With Your Boots On.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard people talking about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see it last year down at the Queer Fear Film Festival in North Carolina, nice. And meet them there. Kay, she's fantastic, and her partner Mariel is her producer on it. And the film is hilarious. I mean, yeah, great horror comedy. When I walked up to them after the first thing, I was like, it reminded me a lot. Like, it's very reminiscent of Creep. Nice. And they're like, yeah, no, that's how we pitch it, is lesbian Creep. And I was like, perfect. That's awesome. But yeah, man, no, that's great. So you have kind of, from the short conversations we've had over the years, you've kind of paved your own way into like, this is something I want to do. How can I get connected? How can I push myself further into this industry while learning more? And one thing that I'd like you to talk a little bit about is your relationship and how that came to be with Salem Access Television.
Yeah, that's definitely been such an important thing because, I lived in Salem for a long time before I even went in there. I was like, I'd walk by it a million times. I was like, it's cable access, whatever. But, then one day I, popped in to check it out. I was like, let's see what's going on in here. And I talked to Patrick. He's the director over here. And he's like, yeah, we just, help people make things, whatever they're doing. And I was like, okay, I want to make like a series of short films, kind of like Twilight Zone in Salem type of a thing. And he's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we've got cameras. We got people to help you edit it. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, okay, this is cool because all of a sudden I've got people helping shoot things, helping edit things, and people that want to do things, and want to get involved with it. And instead of shooting town hall meeting all day, would be like, yeah, let's get on a horror set and make something there. So Face Crusher 2, for example, was a little experiment in a way because that was kind of an SATV project. It was like, let's just make it with SATV people. Like Adam Kukin shot it, used their cameras, edited there, pretty much everything. And since then, I've had a great relationship. I'm actually on the board with those guys now. We plan all sorts of events. And actually, we're in the middle of setting up a big screening party in the studio. It's a great resource to have. So we're going to screen our latest short there this week and pack the place, project it, and just celebrate making a Salem film.
See, and I love that because you have been a part of really promoting not just Salem filmmakers, but other indie horror filmmakers by putting together events like in Salem, one of which you included my film.
I moved to Salem. I had to get that one in, man. As soon as I saw that, I was like, we need to show this to as many people as I can around here. That was amazing, dude. I love that one.
I was so bummed because I was in Salem earlier that week, but I was leaving on Wednesday. I believe the event was on that Friday. And I was like, what can I do to extend this? And like, maybe I'll just hop a plane back or like whatever. But couldn't make it work, but that was at the Salem Arts.
Yeah, the Salem Arts. Yeah, absolutely. A very cool art gallery. They do all sorts of events there. So yeah, same thing. We set up in an art gallery, and I'll tell you, man, people loved it. Like great reaction to that one. A lot of interest.
It's always nice because obviously, you know, unlike you, I am not from Salem, right? But talking and like making friends with people from there, yourself included, and talking with people who live there about what it's like to live in a town like Salem, right? To have then people who are there vibe with something that you make. It feels a little weird to walk in and be like, oh, well, I'm setting it here. And that's why I made my characters. I was like, all right, my characters are not from here. They moved here, and like, this is it. I can't talk to the experience of like growing up in Salem or anything, but the vibe I got and some of the feedback I got, because I believe that was when we first met, that had screened at Happenstance and George had introduced us. George, James Frazier, fantastic. We're hopefully have him on soon. But with that though, the feedback I got from people who actually live in Salem who are like, yeah, dude, no, this is pretty dead on. There's a lot of wannabe influencers who moved here, or people who, you know, loved Hocus Pocus or like whatever. And so it's a hodgepodge of people from a lot of different places who end up here.
Yeah, that's what happened to me, because I didn't grow up in Salem. I grew up in Central Mass, and you know, I moved around the country. And when I got here, it just, you know, there's a vibe, and you know, people do things and they're into weird things. And I don't know if it would have happened if I was somewhere else, but you know, if I was sitting in a coffee shop in Chicago, like maybe people wouldn't care. But out here, people are like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, this is cool. So, you know, there's definitely, you know, kind of a certain vibe basically that people can feel. There's an energy. That's a whole other story. There's potentially some dark energy. Somebody was telling me today in certain places, which I think could be the case, but there's definitely a feeling out here, and people pick up on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, as much as, you know, you hear the lore of like, oh, there's places you shouldn't go because there's bad energies, and like there may be some absolute like truth to that, and I have avoided, but the overall like vibe of Salem, Massachusetts is killer. Like, it's great. Yeah. It's a very chill place. It's a very welcoming place.
Be yourself, do your thing.
Yeah. It's not super judgy, you know. It's, you know, I mean, you have people who very much move there or are like leaning into the goth Wiccan, you know, like aesthetic of it. And then, you know, you have your tourists, you have people who live there who are like all different. It's a very diverse place, and I think it's great. Like, it's everybody's just like, they're doing their own thing, and I respect it. It's cool.
I haven't lived anywhere like this. People hang out of like all ages and backgrounds. You know, a lot of places are very kind of cliquish with certain types of people hanging out. Here it's, you know, all ages, people younger, older. Job doesn't really matter. It's just, what are you all about? Like, cool, let's hang out. Let's grab a drink. It's a really cool thing.
Right.
Get you back here, man. We're gonna get you back.
I know. That's 2026. I think. Okay, cool. I think we'll try and be back. We're gonna have the film we did last year. I'm gonna put on the festival circuit in 2026, and try and make a reason to get back up there for sure. So, speaking of, all right, you're from Salem. If people are planning a trip to Salem during September, maybe October, though I'm sure there's thoughts on that. What would you suggest? Let's start off there. When would you suggest is the best time to travel to Salem?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but if it's the Halloween season and the spooky season and that sort of thing, I mean, September even is great because it's pretty open then, or, beginning of October. People who haven't been here just kind of underestimate the frenzy that it turns into, because even starting October 1st, they'll kick things off. Haunted happenings, where they'll do events every day. They'll do a parade at the beginning of the month, and then, it's off to the races. And then, hotels are sold out, parking garages are filled up, lines out the door. Closer you get to Halloween, a lot of people think, Halloween in Salem would be this fun thing, which it can be if you know what you're in for, but it's basically, going to be a complete mob. And if you want to go out at night, you better post up and find a place to be, because there's going to be lines that could be sometimes up to 2 hours to get in. At 10 o'clock, they kick everybody off the streets to clear out. It's, just a mob. So if, it's like the Times Square thing. Like, if that's fun, awesome. But if you want to be able to see things, enjoy the restaurants, enjoy, going to the shops and walking around. I mean, early October is good. Weekdays are good. I would also say even it's been extending past Halloween. So even into November, there's still decorations up. The vibe is still there, but the big crowd breaks after Halloween. So, first week in November, end of September, weekend days in October. But the main thing is you just kind of plan it out, because I get some people hit me up and they're like, hey, we're thinking about going to Salem next week, and any recommendations where to stay. And I'm like, yeah, you should have booked that like a year ago. You don't do this last second, and that's how you end up with the people that are in traffic and waiting in lines, and they don't have a plan, and they're like, this sucks. So just if you're going in the busy season, have a plan. Know where you're going to stay, where you're going to park, what you're going to do, and do it the right way. Don't
100%.
Bad tourists.
No, 100%, because it's like, to clarify for people who haven't been to Salem in October, if you go on a weekend, for the past, I'm sure it happened last year too, but the 2 years before that I was there, they were literally telling people don't drive into Salem on the weekends in October. Just don't do it. If you get here past 7 a.m., there's not going to be any parking. So you want to have a good time. We want the tourists here. This is great. We know you're here. And we want you to have a good time. You're going to have a bad time if you drive, because they were saying that something over 1 million people were coming into Salem in October or something.
Yeah. Even the hotels in Boston have been bumping up around then, because people, are filling up the Boston hotels and taking the train up. So,
well, and that's what they had suggested, was taking the MTA to Salem. Yeah. Which is a great idea if you're staying in Boston. And that's another thing too. Salem hotels, there's not a ton, what people may not understand is that Salem is, at least the touristy downtown part of Salem, is not very big, know?
Yeah, no.
I would still say it's absolutely more than a day trip. There's so much stuff packed between the actual downtown square and the wharf, and there's some stuff outside of that you can go to that's really cool. But as far as hotels, you have the Hawthorne, you have the Salem Hotel. I believe they built a new one right down, where is it?
Yeah, there's kind of been a couple of things in the works. They built one on Bridge Street, ironically. They basically expanded it, but they're turning it into a designer hotel where the prices are going to be through the roof too. So it's, if you're going to be staying there, you can get ready to shell out.
Exactly. Well, especially if you plan on staying there in October, right? The Hawthorne is a beautiful historic hotel that may or may not be haunted. Depending on it. It's definitely haunted.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. If you go in the off season to the Hawthorne, you can get a room for $250 a night, maybe. If you try and book in October, their prices start at $450. And that's just, it is what it is. They know their market, it's business. But that being said, there's Salem's not a very big place. I have never stayed in Salem when I've gone to Salem. I'd go to Salem for 3 days, but I will stay in Danvers, or I'll stay in where I've been staying lately, just because I'm from the Midwest. I'm fine with a 20-minute drive anytime. I'll stay in Woburn and hop on the freeway, right off the freeway in Woburn, because there's a bunch of different hotels right there. and just take the freeway. It's a 25 minute drive into Salem. Great.
It's a good way to do it, man. And hey, I've got a couch if you ever need it. Feel free.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
But yeah, I mean, and with that, I also have not gone on purpose, have not gone on a weekend in October. If anything, I'll go, like, my first day there will be like Sunday evening, where usually it's after happenstance, or at least the past couple times it's been after happenstance. That'll wrap up around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We'll go from wherever happenstance is happening that year, usually an hour away, up to Salem, drop our stuff in the hotel, or up to Woburn, drop our stuff in the hotel, drive into Salem. And by that time, a lot of people have left. But then my actual trip to Salem will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday during the week, and I'm not fighting insane crowds.
You know how you do it, man. This guy Salem's. If anybody's thinking about coming out here, I mean, summer is definitely, I would encourage that a lot because it's beautiful. The crowds aren't as bad and everything's still open. The shops are open, the museums are open. It doesn't have the October vibe. That is true. I mean, fall out here is a completely different thing, but summer is a great time to visit and be able to actually check things out and, be able to really, really enjoy it without worrying as much. So it's summer and fall, highly encourage visiting.
100%. I think the first time I went in 2019, we went in late August, and it was a great time. And I mean, it is right on the water. So, if you go up to the Salem Willows Park or something, you can actually go to the beach and enjoy it a little bit more,
Yeah.
So versus, cause I mean, it's the Northeast. It gets colder earlier than the rest of the country. That being said, though, all right, if any of our listeners plan on going to Salem, what are some spots they need to hit?
I mean, I feel like the best thing in town is the Peabody Essex. It's really pretty incredible, and it's not obviously a witch attraction, and it doesn't want to be, although they do have some of the largest collections of actual artifacts, from that day, and they'll occasionally pull them out and do an exhibit, but they always do really, really cool things in there. I would definitely recommend hitting up, the Peabody Essex Museum. Can't miss that. But yeah, it's a really good question because there's, obviously different attractions in museums. Some of them are, pretty legit and cool, and some of them are, kind of tourist trappy and kind of crummy, type of a thing. There's a new attraction that just opened up, Professor Spindlewick's World of Wizardry, which is a really, really cool one. That's right on Essex Street. Probably, you could say maybe a little bit more for kids, but very cool to check out anyway. And it's almost like different rooms that each have a magical theme that you can walk through, but just the imagination, it's all custom built, completely original, unique. Each room you go into has different weird things going on. It's kind of trippy in a way to go through there. So that is definitely, a cool one for sure. The Witch Dungeon is kind of known to be probably the scariest one. And that's definitely probably a good one if you want to get some, some old fashioned, man, shit was crazy.
Yeah.
What type of thing that would be a good one. So yeah, definitely those for attractions. And yeah, and then obviously some of the historic stuff, the Witch House, the House of Seven Gables, those are all, very, very cool to be able to see. And, walking up Chestnut Street, seeing, the old architecture, back when Salem was the wealthiest, city in the country. And, you can still kind of get that kind of old world vibe walking through those neighborhoods. And yeah, even just walking through the historic district, just seeing the old houses, the old architecture, the plaques, the people that used to live out there. And you can feel the history, man. It's pirates used to walk on that street. There's a whole history, and you can pick up on it when you're walking through there. So, I would say to do stuff like that instead of the cheesy stuff.
No, 100%. I feel you. When you go to Salem, it's pretty easy to spot the cheesy tourist trappy attractions. Mostly because like 3 or 4 of them are grouped together on the same street. But like I love them. They're so, you know, they're there to serve their purpose, to be the cheesy tourist attractions, right? Like every tourist city's got to have them. But there's so much more, and there's so much history. And yeah, like you're saying, House of the Seven Gables is beautiful and a great museum to walk through. The Witch House, 100%. And if you're actually want to go there to learn more about the witch trials and stuff like that, between, I would say, Pioneer Village, if you can...
Good call. Good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pioneer Village tours, and I think they only do tours on the weekends. You have to check out.
The hours are really weird, but they've been doing some cool events there, like dark markets at night with candles and vendors out and stuff like that. Super cool.
That was one thing. I actually, I was at some local art event in Michigan, right? And this one artist was like, "Oh, I'm going to Salem for the first time next week." I was like, "Oh, I've been a bunch of times actually." They're like, "Yeah, we're going to," right. They're like, right. They're like, "We're going to do this market out there at the Salem Night Fair that the Black Veil guys helped put on."
Yeah, those guys are legit.
That is a definite, if you like spooky stuff, check out Black Veil Studio. It's a tattoo shop run by these 2 brothers. Their artwork's incredible, but it's it's not just a tattoo parlor. There's a whole shop in front that features their artwork and stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah, they opened a new shop on Essex Street. I don't know if you saw that. They have kind of their main one on Boston Street on the way out of town, and then they just opened more of a boutique one right in Essex, right across from the Witch House. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now, did you see that? I think this was last year that I think it was USA Today ranked a Salem attraction as the #1 tourist trap in the country.
No, which one?
The Witch Museum.
Okay.
Yeah, which has the incredible looking building. So everyone's like, this is badass. But then you get in there and I don't know if you've done it. It's not badass inside. So it's kind of like the Plymouth Rock type of thing.
It is such an iconic, it's such an iconic location, but the Plymouth Rock thing, absolutely. And then you go there and it's that's a perfect metaphor for it, because as someone who loves Salem and has been there a few times, one of the times I went there, I was talking to one of the workers at the Witch House, and they were like, I was asking questions about the history, and they were like, check out this book. It's called The Salem Witch Trials, and this is the Bible for people who actually study this, because this one scholar went through all of the public records of Salem as far back, from the 1690s, during that time, and put together a day by day, this is what happened this day, this is what happened this day, fully backed up version of what happened during that time, right? That's awesome. And so I checked that out, I ended up buying a copy, which is really interesting, and it's a definitive account of what exactly happened. But then, so you go to the Witch Museum, and I'm sitting there, and they got the little, the light goes on, and it's, it feels like an audiobook that was recorded in the 70s plays. Well, all of these little wax figures light up, and they tell the story, but the story they're telling is not even correct, which is what got me. That was the thing, is I was like, oh, I can't believe we haven't done this yet. This is my 3rd or 4th time here. I'm really excited. This is the one. We got to do it this time. Cause it's the best known one. And then we go in there and it's just I was like, that's not true. That's not what happened. I know, So, but yeah, it looks so cool, but it is definitely a tourist trap. So wait, the Black Veil guides, the Black Veil guys opened up a new boutique shop, you said, across from like the Witch House. Now, is that across the street, like where's the Witch City Thrift?
Formerly Witch City Thrift.
Oh, did they close down?
Unfortunately, this is, I mean, kind of one of the ongoing sort of things in Salem is a lot of the development, we'll just call it, and it's basically going to be turned into condos. So it was they might put another storefront down there, but unfortunately that the thrift shop there is the consignment store is no more, which is too bad because that place was awesome. And I actually used them for one of the films I made, Final Girl. I went in there and I was like, hey, I'm making a film. Can I borrow some stuff here? And they're like, sure. They just basically let me go through there, borrow what I wanted, and then drop it off afterwards. I'm finding like weird tools and pliers and mannequins and like crazy. I'm like, wow, I got a whole little prop house right here. You guys are awesome. So that place ruled, but sadly, rest in peace.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I knew they were, because whoever owns that building, I know like a couple years ago had originally told them like, hey, we're going to get you out of here. And then they got an extension for a year.
Yeah.
So that is a bummer. I unabashedly love Hubie Halloween. I think it's the stupidest. I think it's so stupid, but so funny. And I don't know. Adam Sandler is someone who will always like, all right, I say that's a lie. Because Adam Sandler makes terrible films a lot of the time. But his like older stuff I really like. And Hubie was like just ridiculous enough that I didn't have to accept anything other than it being ridiculous. What they did though is their props department dropped a bunch of stuff from set, like from Marblehead and wherever they were shooting at Witch City Consignment and Thrift. So,
yeah, there was stuff in there for sale, absolutely. And the orange lights on the common are still up. They just left them up there, so it's a cool little souvenir.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Did you hear the Uncut Gems story connection?
No.
So I don't know if this is true or not, but allegedly Adam Sandler said that if he didn't win an Oscar for Uncut Gems, that he was going to make the worst movie he's ever made. And that's the next one he made was Hubie Halloween. So
that's so funny.
True or not, I don't know, but it's kind of a funny story.
All right, that's really funny. Although I will argue that is far from the worst film he's made.
I would agree with that, and I do like it because it's in Salem. I'm of course that's and people around here like it for that because you watch it and you're like, that's what you're looking for. It's almost part of the character of the story, and it was fun watching him film it. We checked out some of the sets. They did some stuff in the common and down by the lighthouse. Huge, very opposite of indie film, massive sets, trucks full of equipment. Let people kind of hang out and watch what they were doing. So that was cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so let's shift back. Let's shift back to you. So Seed and Spark, this is your first fundraising campaign.
First one.
Yeah. All right. So you got, I think at the time of recording this, I believe you have like a week left on the campaign.
Got about a week left to go. Yeah. We're going down the home stretch here. I'm posting like crazy about it right now. So yeah.
All right. So for other people listening who are looking to launch a fundraising campaign for a film, what's the best advice you've gotten? What have you learned so far in this process? What should people know?
Yeah, it's definitely something I've been kind of figuring out as I go a little bit, but I obviously wanted to try to set myself up for success for it. So going into it, I kind of, from conversations I had with people, a lot of people, part of the way this kind of came together in a few different ways. Some people were like, "Hey, you should make another one." There's enough people saying you should make another one that I was like, okay, there's some interest here. I felt like there's a groundwork that I'd be able to get some traction with it. So that kind of gave me the confidence to launch it. I think that would probably be a big thing, is make sure you have some people in your corner before you go. They say you can kind of set the terms on it, but they recommend 30 days and try to get that 30% goal in your first week. Most of the ones that will make it are at that point. So you want to kind of have some people lined up, build some buzz around it. So I'd had some conversations before I launched it, tried to put the word out there before I launched it, started talking about it a couple weeks ahead of time, like, hey, here we go, this day, we're going to go live. So that was kind of a part of it, is trying to set it up so that I could hit the ground running. And then the other interesting thing was coming up with perks on it and trying to figure out what would make people want to do it, or what could be fun. There's so many people trying to, post crowdfunders. It's almost annoying, as I'm sure being filmmakers and following pages, you'll see them all the time. So it's like, what's going to make this fun? I wanted this to come across like this is a fun thing that you can be a part of, and not like, hey, give me money.
Right.
So to that end, trying to come up with some perks that would make sense. And then one of the other tips is to try to stay away from physical products. So I was originally thinking about having some t-shirts and stuff, but I ended up scrapping that. So basically all the products are, digital products, thanks, naming a character. One of the big ones we're pushing, part of the experiment of this whole thing, is, being a victim on set. I was like, let's see how this goes. So we set it at, $150. So I'm like, all right, you'll be able to cover your special effects makeup, and then I'll have an actor, and, hopefully you'll be cool, which I'm assuming you are because you're doing this. So trying to find kind of the right perks, the right price points. One thing that was a little different for this one, the Seed and Spark has all sorts of videos and tips. They'll kind of walk you through it when you're setting it up. But they said that the $25 point is the most common one, but it hasn't been for me. I set $25 as, like a digital postcard where we'll make a cool customized thing, and, I'll reveal that when the time comes. But the 25 and smaller ones haven't been a thing. Most people have been either being a victim or naming a character. So to my surprise, most of the people have been going for the higher one. So I'm up to 5 victims now and 5 character names, and it's definitely going to change the feel of it. And for me, that works for this one, because there's a whole random thing with the face crusher anyway. So I'm like, sure, let's have some random names. Let's have some random people on set. Let's be out of the box with this one. So it's been kind of fun figuring out what works for this one and what people are going for. And I think that's one of the big things. I'm really glad now that I'm not dealing with anything physical, mailing things out, or, things like that. So it's kept it pretty simple and pretty fun.
I think that's wonderful advice. Yeah. And I think that speaks more so to, like, you have established yourself, right? Like you've established yourself as a filmmaker in Salem who's been doing this and who has been pushing other people's work. And, I feel like your experience may not be the case for everyone, with everybody gets, higher than those $25 donations that are usual. But I think for you have a community. And this goes to anyone else who feels like they've built a community around them. Like, yeah, if you're at a point in your career where you have this community that you can call upon, where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm looking to fundraise this thing. If you like what I do, help me out. When you have so many people who have worked with you and, who you've helped out or put into screenings you've put together and stuff like that, like, yeah, people are going to show up for you. And I think that's a great thing. And I'm glad they're showing up for you on the Seed and Spark campaign right now.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it's exciting stuff. Is Guest on Topsfield Road still making its rounds on the festival circuit?
Yeah, I was just about to think it was over, and then I checked Film Freeway, and I was like, oh, there's still some other ones out there, but yeah, it's had a good ride, and it's, in my mind, it's kind of near the tail end now. We'll see if some other ones come up, but it's been a fun one. And I do want to shout out another film festival. I don't know if you've talked to or worked with the Dead of Winter guys at all. It's part film festival, but it's also a little bit more than that. It's also like an expo. It's also, they do some workshops. They, had some guest speakers like Minicon. They had the Toxic Avengers there this week. And I've been working with those guys a lot, and they're great. So I almost didn't think of them as film festival, but they are, because they have a whole day of horror film fests and do a great job promoting that. So Guest on Topsfield Road was on that one, and feel like we kind of ended it on a strong note there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. I will have to check out Dead of Winter. Like, I feel like I've seen the festival peripherally, where like I think I've seen you talk about it and George talk about it, and you know, some other people from the Northeast talk about it, but it's not one I don't think I've submitted to it yet. You talked about Strange Maynard earlier. And that's one that we were in a year or two ago.
Nice.
I didn't get the chance to make it out for it, but is it, trying to like rack my brain for names, is it Erica who runs that one?
Yeah, Erica runs Strange Maynard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great. Her stuff is awesome. If anybody likes indie horror comedy stuff, you got to check out her stuff. It's so funny. So good.
Absolutely. Well, awesome, man. So what's next after you get Face Crusher 3? Are you looking ahead at all, or just nose to the grindstone on this?
Yeah, I mean, part of the idea has always been like the dream is, make a feature, right? So it's like, how do we build the building blocks to do it the right way, right? Because on the one hand, it's easy to make a feature, but if it's easy, a lot of times it's going to be crappy. And like, I was at Cinema Salem, I saw a feature for $6,000. I'm like, oh my God, somebody made a feature for $6,000. And I watch it and I'm like, and it looks like it, and nobody's going to watch this thing again. And like, okay, cool. But like, I'm secretly jealous because I'm like, you did it. But the plan is to like try to make something that would be awesome, hopefully, and like build on all the stuff that we've done. So that's kind of the goal that hopefully things have been building towards. I don't have immediate plans for short after this one, but there's another thing that not really anybody knows about yet, which is that we filmed a secret sequel to The Witch on Bridge Street. And that's going to basically be the next one out. So I haven't really announced or posted it. So I guess I'm bringing it up now, but that's going to be the next one up on the dock. The Witch is going to make another appearance. So get ready for it.
That's exciting. That's such a fun short. What's the restaurant? Is it Kodo?
Kodo, yeah. Kodo's where we spot it. Yeah, Kodo is so awesome, dude, and everybody knows it, and they do the cool stuff there, and it's almost like our home base now. We'll have our meetings there and have lunches there, and like see the owner. Like they love that we did it. Like they're all about it. But this one is not at Kodo. At the very end of The Witch on Bridge Street, she meets another character at the bar. He's wearing like the crazy orange jacket, and that is one of my favorite actors out here. That's Eric Rodenheiser. He owns a few attractions around town, including Gallows Hill Theater. So what's going to happen in the sequel? I wanted The Witch on Bridge Street to end like, okay, she took out the first guy. First guy failed her test. Like now she's meeting somebody else, and you realize like, okay, this is a routine she does. It's kind of left like, is he going to pass the test or get killed too? This is going to pick up as far as what happens between the two of them. And what turns out is that the two of them team up for revenge. He's a stage magician, hypnotist, and it's basically a hypnotist and a witch teaming up for revenge on a tourist in Salem. And we shot it in Gallows Hill Theater, Eric's theater. Had this whole like kind of funky, loungy, underground, weird kind of thing. And we pushed the envelope a little bit of this one. It's got some humor in it, but it gets pretty intense. And we experimented with some special effects to do some practical on-screen stuff and have some bones popping through and like on-screen stuff going on. So it's probably going to be one of the better ones I've made. Fair to say. I think I'll just say it. It's good. It's the best one I made. So I'm excited to get that one out there. So. Hopefully we'll see that at a film fest, man. Hopefully you can make it out with the new kid and check it out.
I'll have to, man. I'll have to. No, that's super exciting. I'm stoked to see it, man. So Luke, where can listeners find you?
So I post stuff under the Thornfall Society. That's sort of the unofficial umbrella that I put things under. So Instagram, Facebook, or, IMDb, YouTube. I haven't done a lot pushing stuff. I probably should have, but festival run ends, throw it up on YouTube. If you go to the Thornfall channel, you can check out some of the ones you talked about. The Witch is on there. Devil on Derby Street is on there. So yeah, if you guys like, weird little indie films and little horror, little comedy and see what's going on in Salem, then check out the Thornfall Society page.
Yeah, and everything you just said will be linked below in the show notes. And if they don't like that stuff, I don't know why they're listening to this podcast, because that's what we're here for. Maybe they stumbled upon it, thought it was something else.
Well, you have this very hypnotic voice. It's, they might have just gotten suckered into it. And I don't even know what they're listening to anymore. And it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is amazing. I don't even care what they're saying. Well, Luke, it's been great to talk to you, man. I'm so excited to see Face Crusher 3 and the sequel to Witch on Bridge Street. I'll catch it at some festival, I am sure, in the next year. And we'll get together next time I'm out that way and grab a drink to celebrate everything you're doing, man.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, right back at you. Love your shorts. Love that you're doing this podcast. Love that you're spotlighting and having fun with this. And, the film industry is in a big turmoil, but horror remains strong. Indie horror remains particularly strong. And, you're leading the charge, man. So love it. Thanks for having me on.
Trying to make it happen for all of us, man. I think what we do as indie horror filmmakers and the original stories we're telling are so important to building the future we want in the horror genre, right? Yep. And I've been lucky enough to meet very talented people like yourself, that I absolutely deserve as many platforms as possible to get their voices out, to get their work out. And yeah, man, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for everything you got going on. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for being here today, man.
Absolutely, man. This is awesome. Keep making cool stuff, man. You're the man.
Thanks, man. I wanted to show this real quick. This is the Thornfall Society can koozie that Luke gave me the first time we met. So cheers to you, Luke. We recorded this episode earlier this year, and I have some updates from Luke I'd like to share with you. The Seed and Spark campaign for Face Crusher 3 hit its funding goal and shot over 4 days this past summer. It's currently in post-production, and Luke says it's the wildest thing he's made yet. Can't wait to see it. His sequel to The Witch on Bridge Street is called Stage Fright and will be screening at the Harvest Shorts Festival in Millbury, Mass. On October 25th. We'll have more info on that on our website. And lastly, The Guest on Topsfield Road is set to premiere on the Thornfall Society YouTube channel on October 7th. So make sure to check them out and follow Luke in the show notes. Our theme music is by Nick Ferrari at Nick_Ferrari on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at Midnight Horror Picture Show. And as another bonus for spooky season, we have a new podcast. Join Deadpine Archives as we research, discuss, and piece together lore that seems to be overlooked. Enjoy ghost stories with facts as much as speculation, and follow us down the trails to find the root of the mystery. You can find Deadpine Archives wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to those who have given us 5-star reviews. It's the best way to support growing this platform for indie horror makers. And if you haven't yet, please leave a review and subscribe to us wherever you're listening. New episodes are coming real soon. Until then, stay spooky and keep supporting indie horror.